Most human beings don't feel the need to win over someone else. They just don't want to lose to someone else. May Allah give me the right words to say. If you understand Arabic, even if you know English, so long as your English is not fluent, please click the gear button for settings in the corner, followed by captions, auto-translate, Arabic. That might not work if you're watching this in a browser, but if you're watching this in the YouTube app, which you can get from the store if you don't have it, for free, the YouTube app, you can watch any English language video with Arabic subtitles, which is pretty extraordinary. So you click settings, captions, auto-translate, Arabic. Voila. Okay, may Allah give me the right words. Egyptians have been asking me, why am I reaching out to Egyptians? I put up a video here a few days ago, and it's called something like Rabbi Speaks to Egyptians, something like that. Why am I speaking to Egyptians? Well, the truest answer is I'm speaking to everybody. When I talk about what's going on in Israel, Gaza, I know you want me to say Palestine. I usually do when I'm speaking to people personally one-on-one. But in this case, you understand the complication. I'm speaking to the entire world at once. Even though I'm speaking to you right now as a single demographic, I believe in transparency. Nothing is secretive, and therefore this is open to everybody. And we hope that people can understand that different people have different understandings of words. I mean, the word Zionism, forget Palestine, but the word Zionism literally has a definition that's not very different from Nazism to most Egyptians. I don't mean that they're comparing actual Nazism to actual Zionism, but their term, the way they use the word Zionism, and I guess I'm talking to everyone else right now, the way they use the word Zionism is a certain way. So if you hear me use the word Zionism in a certain context, please, you'll have to give me the benefit of the doubt. If you can't do that, don't watch this. Don't watch any of my stuff. Really. It's just, it'll upset you, it'll upset me. Don't do it. But, so Egyptians, I'm probably not going to, talk about Zionism by your definition and use the word Zionism. Because it's not what the word means to most people. You know what I mean? And therefore, if I were to denounce, which I would denounce, the definition of Zionism that you have. So if I were to denounce Zionism, because I'm speaking to you personally, but to other people it means something else, you can see how that could be a problem, right? That's why I'm not saying Palestine. And even that, I feel now I really have to explain to everyone else, but no, I'm expecting only people who are truly open-hearted, open-minded will watch this. That's my assumption. All right, so what's going on over there? People have said, what do you want us to do? Right? The interesting thing, by the way, is most Egyptians that I've met recognize that the average Israeli citizen doesn't have that much power either. Yes, they see things in Israeli media, or especially social media, etc., that's upsetting, blah, blah, blah. But they recognize that when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, there's a ruling class in every country, and there's a ruling class of the world, the Freemasons, the Zionists. I'm kidding. They're not really hidden. It's the wealthy. It's not hard to figure out who they are. Even if they're not all gathering together in some secret room and putting on fake mustaches and Jew noses, they have the same interests. And I'm not saying that I'm not coming from a communist perspective that, they're all evil either. Although temporarily at the moment they might actually be, but at the moment they also have a point, but we can't go there right now. What's happening is terrible, and people have pointed out to me the only one who can stop it is Netanyahu. Stop what? What can Netanyahu stop? Netanyahu is not me. Netanyahu is not someone who has lived in Arab countries and is not somebody who is he's a political creature. You understand what he is? In every country, there's people like that. He's a political animal. That's his power, whatever, blah, blah, Might be a little nicer in some things, a little meaner in other things, a little more skilled, a little less, blah. He's the same, the class. Every politician in every country is like that. It's not hard to figure out who they are. But what do you want him to do? You want him to just stop bombing Gaza? What about the hostages? What about revenge for October 7th? Okay, but you might say October 7th had a point on that. Great. But the thing is this. The worst thing for anybody, for you, for you, for your people, anything that you care about. The worst thing is to lose. The average thing is to win. The great thing is to destroy the game so that you both cooperate and win together. Because you'll win a whole lot more that way. You yourself. Forget about morality. There's nothing to do with morality. God, Shema, it doesn't matter. People working together end up accomplishing more. Which is why I need you to work together with me, by the way. Oh yeah, so please, if you like the video, please like. Because if I don't get a number of likes, YouTube doesn't show the video to people, etc. And please subscribe and share. YouTube does not have the wind at our back with this channel, as you can tell. It confuses the algorithm. So please do make it happen. So what I'm arguing for isn't for a Palestinian win. What I'm arguing for isn't for an Israeli or Jewish loss. I'm saying the prophecies in our Bible. I've made videos about this. Isaiah 58. You can read it in Arabic. You can read it in any language on the internet, probably with multiple different translations. Isaiah chapter 58. That's the clearest definition. I'll put a link here, I guess, to the video that I myself have made translating and explaining Isaiah 58. Please remember to use captions there if captions are helpful. Also, for everybody, I speak pretty quickly, so please, as many people have told me they already do, you should be aware that you can also slow down or speed up the video if I speak too slowly, whatever it happens to be. You can change the speed of this and every other video by also clicking settings and then speed. You can change it, make it slower or faster. So I agree with all the moral claims about what's horrible, what's being done to Palestinian children. Children in Gaza. I don't believe in nationalities at all, so that's the main reason I don't use the term. I prefer to refer to geographical locations instead of flags and terrible things like that. But it's of course terrible. Of course, every human being knows it's terrible. The people doing the killing might not know it right now, but the main problem that Israel faces, that the Jewish people face, is that they will wake up with nightmares because of the things they did, even if it was the right thing to do. And what I'm arguing is that within the span of politics, within the span of political spectrum that exists in Israel and in every country, within real politics as it exists today, they are doing the right thing. The nightmares will be unnecessary, but they will come. And the next generation, and it's not good for the future. It's for them. Forget about for anyone else. For the people that are actually doing the killing. Everyone knows it's terrible. Nonetheless, from an Israeli perspective, listen, they went out and they killed people for the most part who were the most extreme leftist. Leftist means anti-Zionist, if I can translate. The most extreme anti-Zionist people in Israel were the ones they targeted for killing Hamas on October 7th. That's insane. Isn't that something? Why would they do that? You do have to ask yourself. So in other words, all the legitimate problems of being stuck in Gaza, feeling like a 10th class citizen, occupation, it's whatever, all the negative stuff. The people who actually carried out October 7th, they went out of their way to kill the people who were trying hardest to give them everything that the average person wants. Not necessarily that the leadership wants. Leadership guys, listen, you can kill me just as quickly as the Israelis can. I don't hide. I went to the Israeli embassy. I'll put up the video link over there in Cairo. I'm as public and as open as somebody can be. All right. And I'm sure that I misunderstand your intentions too. And I would love to have a conversation with you. Ideally not in a dungeon. It's not going to work. It's not but if you want to have, I've tried, let's just say that I don't know what's legal or whatever to say. I have no problem talking to anybody from any point of view. I'm interested in, I was going to say hearing what you have to say, which is technically true, but that makes it sound like I don't know. I do know for the most part. In other words, of course, anybody could be wrong about something. It happens, but I spent my whole life trying to find people to prove me wrong in something. So it's not likely that when it comes to something that I know a lot about, that I'm really going to be astonished by something. But you will see that most of the things you say, in other words, All the stuff that you would normally say to someone who speaks English, I know and I mostly agree with too, whatever. There's certain things you don't know, whatever, but I think that you're reachable, is what I'm trying to say. I think we can come to an understanding. I don't know if that's true for every human being, but definitely a lot of the average person in Hamas, I mean, the people in Hamas who went on October 7th and were shocked, they really thought they were like, you know, they really viewed the people that they were going for as monsters. Many of the soldiers, the ones who did not do the raping, the ones who did not drink alcohol or anything like that, the actual very religious, the professional Hamas soldiers, they, you can see in the videos, some of them were ashamed and shocked. They really were, they didn't expect to encounter humanity that's so similar to the humanity of their own children, of their own childhood, of their own selves. They didn't expect to meet reasonable people. They didn't expect that at all. There was a few videos that, not many, but a few, where people were clearly ashamed. You can see it through the masks, you can still see it. They were ashamed and shocked. They really thought they were fighting a whole more righteous war than the one they found themselves in. You have to bear in mind as well, Hamas leadership purposefully set up, I don't want to get into details, but the point is, they, in addition to these fighter people, the majority of the people who went across, they rounded up the local drug dealers and homeless people and whatever, blah, 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 and they sent them across. So, that they had in their mind that there should be rapes, but of course they didn't have the religious people do that. They had in mind there should be all kinds of evil, horrible things done by these people. Like that was part of the strategy. It's way too easy for me to get distracted there. I don't want to get distracted there. What I want to say is that I'm reaching out to you. First of all, I'm here in person. Let's meet in person. To discuss with me whether it's possible that all sides are right. All sides are right. The complaints that all sides have are right. And no matter how much somebody might say they want to kill some other group, right? And it's the whole online world, the way people, it's bad. But, because people share their, right, immediately, whatever. Also, your feelings in your heart don't matter. I was in New York on October 7th, but I have many, many Arab friends. And a lot of them they were pretty happy. I don't want to get it. This is just common. I was in Israel on 9/11 in Jerusalem. And when the towers fell down, when the towers came crumbling down, I was watching it on television. I was out in the street and I stepped into one of these little markets that they have all over the world. This little 2-foot market where the owner has to stand there in the sweltering sun all day selling stuff for 10 cents, So he has a little, he had a crappy TV there in the corner so he doesn't die of boredom. And and a bunch of us were in there watching it, and when the towers came down, automatically, this wasn't like a thought, this was a reaction. I mean, for sure he wouldn't have said it if he had thought for a second. But his instant reaction was he banged on his desk with all the candies. Some of them went flying. He says, "Fuck you, America!" He burst out happy. He was so happy. That's a normal human reaction to when the bully, the one who, because people have a hard time comprehending why the world is the way it is, and they recognize some people don't have to work for a living and other people do have to work for a living, and they realize correctly that there's something improper about it, but they make the mistake of thinking that those are keeping them down, that there's some kind of grand conspiracy instead of something that they themselves are a part of, because everyone is trying to become one of those. Everyone's trying to become one of the rulers, one of the leaders. So you're part of the problem if that's your perspective. You can't blame them. Everyone just naturally feels a certain way. It doesn't matter. It's different how people act. It's very different how people live, how people act, than what happens in their theoretical fantasy mind. So in real life, my experience has been that people, almost all human beings, and certainly there's no demographic of human beings that is accepted from this en masse. Most human beings don't need to win over someone else. They just don't want to lose to someone else. Most human beings don't feel the need to win over someone else. They just don't want to lose to someone else. and everything can be resolved. When we talk about economic issues, the ruling class of the planet, etc. When we talk about Israel and Palestine, listen, it's not even Israel. The people that the Zionist kind that I relate to is Menachem Begin, the person who actually gave Sinai to Egypt. Oh, and many Egyptians have asked me if Israel's trying to conquer Sinai. Israel's not trying to conquer Sinai. There's a longer answer to that, but the short answer is Israel's not trying to conquer Sinai. And Menachem Begin was the most right-wing and the most religious, unless you count Naftali Bennett, which I'm not sure that I would, but Menachem Begin was the most right-wing and most religious of the prime ministers, and he's the one who gave Sinai to Egypt. Israel, if you want to worry about Sinai, well, let's not get deeper into the problems there. We're trying to give the solution here. But the point is, no, that's not happening. Menachem Begin didn't want to call the country Israel, Yisrael. He wanted to call it Medinat, the country of, Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel. Israel is more of a concept. It's God's ideal concept that he bestowed through a certain lineage, according to the Jewish belief. I'm saying the religious belief. But at the same time, the land itself belongs to God. Every religious Jew in the world heard those words spoken in the synagogue last week. Ki li haaretz, the land is mine. It's not yours, and you're my slaves. You belong to me. That's Israel. That's Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael means the land of Israel. In other words, the holy land that's supposed to be tied with the holy people of Israel. Except the holy people of Israel only are deserving of this land at certain times. Ta-da. And that's something that's lost when you call it Israel, as if everyone living there, actually this concept applies. They've made it. They've succeeded. This is Yisrael. This is Yisrael. No, it is the land of Yisrael. And we try to be worthy of the land of Yisrael. Now, to be worthy, we don't have to just be as good as everyone else. It's unfortunate, but we have to be a little better. At the same time, other people have to recognize that we're just human beings, be a little bit understanding of that. We're human beings and we're weird in some ways, and we'll just chill. We'll be tolerant of you, but you got to be tolerant back of us. Problem is, people haven't always been that way, and Jews haven't always necessarily explained themselves publicly, openly, as I'm attempting to do quite often throughout history. This is what I'm attempting to change, reaching out to the world about what Yisrael is. Because there are people in Israel, the Jewish people I mean, and in the land of Israel that actually do personify this trait. There's a fellow I've mentioned before, Rabbi Mordechai Machlis. I knew him and his wife many years ago, and she passed away. He is alive. They personified this trait, and I assume that he still does, this trait of Yisrael, this perfect, ideal trait. Now, unfortunately, in Israel itself, the Jewish people haven't 100% come around to recognizing this, which is why he doesn't have flocks of hundreds of thousands or millions of people listening to him. Really, even though he gives free food, there's no honor really in associating with him. And unfortunately, the whole world is run on the main thing of let's not lose. And therefore, people give in to the system of honor. And today, therefore, I'm not trying to convince Netanyahu not to bomb. Of course it's evil. Of course he shouldn't. Of course, but if he stops and the other side just does it again, but worse, because the Jews look weak, what right does he have not to bomb? What I'm offering is something completely different. I'm offering as a human being and to some degree as a representative of Yisrael, and I'm offering a different path. I'm trying to see if we human beings, I don't have all the answers. All I seek is other people who can reason with me this way. And maybe we can come up with a solution that works for everybody.